You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
To get up to like $68,000, my heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
Are you tired of the disregard for our Constitution? Do you still have faith in the American dream? Are you looking for sensible, smart radio? If so, listen to the Conservative Commandos Radio Network every weekday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on WNJC Radio, 1360 on your AM dial, or around the world on the internet at WNJCradio.com. Check out our website, ccrsnetwork.com, for rebroadcasts and network updates. We are the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, where now even more newsmakers go to be heard.
Folks, you are listening to America Off the Rails, now a proud member of the Conservative Commando Radio Network, right here on WNJC 1360 AM, the powerhouse of Philadelphia. Now, I have a question for you. Do you ever find yourself maybe not near a radio? Maybe you're traveling and you don't have access to the internet? Did you know that the Conservatives Commando Radio Network can now be heard on a telephone network by calling 832-999-1199 anytime, day or night? That's right. You can hear every show as it's broadcast live, even if you're not near the radio or an internet, because, everybody nowadays has a phone in their hand. But here's the good news, though. As soon as we go off the air at night on the Conservative Commando Radio Network right here on WNJC, you can listen to every show that aired for that day as many times as you want just by dialing that number. It'll be a live feature every day at 12 p.m. daily, and it'll be exclusively for the shows that run on that network. But until the next day when it goes live again, they're going to run them over and over and over again. So now you have on-demand access to the Conservative Commando Radio Network right on your phone. How cool is that? Just remember, the Conservative Commando Radio Network, where now even more newsmakers go to be heard.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention please? America Off the Rails has been declared a conservatives-only safe zone. Only conservatives allowed from this point forward. Any liberal, socialist, butthurt, hippie, tree huggers, please exit the facility immediately. Again, attention please. America Off the Rails is now designated as a conservative safe zone only. All butthurt, tree-hugging, hippie, free-to-be, you and me types exit the facility immediately. Thank you.
We will keep this promise to the American people. If you like your doctor, you will be able to keep your doctor, period. If you like your health care plan, you will be able to keep your health care plan, period.
This is the most transparent administration in history. Not even a smidgen of corruption.
Fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. What difference at this point does it make?
If you got a business, you didn't build that.
Oh, welcome to the face. Welcome to the face of the new democracy. Don't expect us to admit a mistake. We're paying off election.
Keep on doing what you do, Rick. You're my favorite host.
It's time to hear the truth about America's biggest challenges. You're listening to America Off the Rails with your host, Rick Robinson.
All right, folks. Well, good afternoon, Philadelphia. This is Rick Robinson. I'm the host of America Off the Rails. It is Thursday, April 7th, 2016, just a couple minutes past the hour of 2 Eastern, right here in beautiful downtown Philadelphia. Of course, I'm not live with you. I'm actually in Oklahoma City. But I try to treat it like I'm with you as much as I can because I love the fact that we're here. I love the fact that the Spark Radio Network is now partnering with the Conservative Commando Radio Network and that we have so far 3 shows that we bring you every week. And we actually have an announcement coming soon about some other possible terrestrial placements. The ink is not yet on the paper, but we're getting really, really close. So I want to thank everybody who tunes in every week. You are making us grow by leaps and bounds. And if it were not for you, it would not be possible. So again, I just want to give everybody a really quick thank you, and especially Mr. Rick Trader for extending us the opportunity to be here. Of course, without landing here first, the other opportunities that are presenting themselves probably would not have opened up. So we cannot say thank you enough. And as we continue to grow, rest assured, as long as you will have us here, we will stay here, no matter how much bigger we get, because you were the first terrestrial station to ever have us and the first terrestrial network to ever have us. At least as far as an actual long-range station. We've been on some short-range stations now for a while, but got a pretty big announcement hopefully coming soon out of Dallas, so I just want everybody to know that that is in the works. I don't want to spill the beans quite yet, because like I said, you never know till the ink's on the paper, but things are looking up. That's all I'm going to say. All right, so we've got lots to talk about. As you know, Tuesday night there was a primary. There was a really, really big primary, and it wasn't really a very good time for one Mr. Donald. The Donald did not have a good night. He got trounced in Wisconsin. So, of course, he has been basically a blathering idiot now for 2 days. His campaign has been saying things that would actually verge on libel pretty much anywhere else if it was anyone else saying it. But, of course, somehow he manages to get away with it. But he's the one that keeps screaming about all the unfair treatment. Now, the one thing that I will say that I found is interesting, in Wisconsin, there was an entire group of local talk show hosts that basically banded together to help people there understand exactly who Trump really is. And I think that is honestly what started to sway the public opinion in Wisconsin. And I do think, this network included, that there are enough conservative radio hosts left, whether they're in small markets or bigger markets, that have honestly really started turning the tide when it comes to Donald Trump. And this isn't even to toot my own horn, because that's not what I'm about, so don't think that I'm about to be one of the ones taking credit for this. Look, I understand at this point, I am a really, really, really tiny fish in a very, very large pond. What I do understand, though, is that no matter how large the program gets, no matter how large my network gets, no matter how many new places I get to, the one thing that will never change is I'm not going to change who I am or change what I tell you based on what I think you want to hear. Look, if that was why you listen to me, I would have to change my opinions to you every other week, because we have new people that tune in all the time, and I'm not going to base what I think and how I feel about a certain situation on what I think my listeners want to hear. Does that make me a bad show host? You be the opinion on that, or you give me your opinion on that, because I'm not going to say that one way or the other. Look, I've already told you guys for a long time, I do what I do because mainly for me it started as a way to stay sane. And the more I did it, the better I got at it, and the more people started listening to it, and the more they were like, you should be doing this more often, and you should be doing this in more places. So I keep following that advice, and next thing I know, there are deals that have been opened and doors that have been opened, and now we are pretty much all over the place, and new things are happening every day. And that is by and in large part because of the folks that tune in and listen on a daily basis. So, because I felt like I haven't done that in a while, I wanted to take a moment to let you know that no matter how big we get here with the Spark Radio Network, proud members of now the Conservative Commando Radio Network right here on WNJC 1360 AM, no matter how big we get, no matter how large we think we are, we're never going to forget that you guys are the ones that come first. That's the reason we all started doing this in the first place. Most of us saw the way the tide was turning with the larger networks and the guys that have been doing this for a long time and the guys that have found ways to earn their livings at it and get comfortable and get to the point now where they're dependent on the income to be able to sustain themselves. And look, I'm not necessarily faulting them for what they're doing, but when you're more worried about making money than you are about bringing people the truth, it's time to put up the microphone. And let's face it, and we're going to go through this today, line item by line item, and we're actually going to talk about the truth of who Donald Trump really is, the truth of who some of these bigger name talk show hosts honestly are, and why it is that they're doing the things that they're doing. Because it irritates me. It infuriates me that so many people that have built platforms on conservative principles by telling people what they wanted to hear, and then the very first opportunity they had, they turned tail, they tucked it, and they tucked a wad of cash in their pocket, and they went running the other direction. So many people in the conservative movement have done that, especially in this election cycle. I want you to think about something. Let's flash all the way back to the very beginning of Donald Trump's initial announcement when they were talking about how packed all of his rallies were. For the first month, that's all you heard about. Anytime he held a rally, they were bursting at the seams. There were people lining up to get in. They were having to turn them away at the doors. And then it turns out that people were being paid to go in there. His Twitter account with millions and millions of followers. There's a program that you can use that tells you how many of the people that are following an account are real. I urge you to do a Google search. I'm not even going to tell you which ones to use because there's more than one. I urge you to do a Google search, find a program that will do that, and plug his Twitter handle into that program, and you tell me what you see. Anybody remember the movie, I think it was called Wagging the Dog? 80s movie, presidential situations, media spinning the narrative to fit the scene. This is the exact opposite. We have a president with his own money and his own resources who is spinning a tale to make him seem more important and better than he is. And this is continuing to be shown over and over and over again to be true. Now, like I said, sorry, we seem to have had an echo there for a second, so I had to fix that. All right, so like I said, we're going to show exactly who Donald Trump is, and we're going to do it line by line and segment by segment. And we're actually going to, and this is actually thanks to Mr. Rick Trader, who actually sent this to me the other day. But we've got a pretty decent amount of material. It's a montage of some of the things that Trump has said over his lifetime and the differences. Now, what I plan on doing with this at another time, when I'm not knee-deep in negotiations and about 14 different things, is I'm actually going to put together a montage of what he said before and what he says now. And we'll probably do that over the next couple of weeks. But for now, I thought it would just be interesting to listen to what he says and actually take them item by item and talk about them.
Everybody's got to be covered. This is an un-Republican thing for me to say.
Universal health care.
I am going to take care of everybody.
Who pays for it?
The government's going to pay for it. The government's going to pay for this tax.
Okay, so let's take that first item. Universal health care. I played the full bit, or the full piece that talks about that or the full conversation anyway, sorry, on it was from a 60 Minutes interview from back in September. And he blatantly said that as far as he was concerned, that the government needed to take care of funding healthcare. Now, for those of you with conservative principles, let me ask you a question. Do you honestly think the government should be funding your healthcare? Because I know that we tell everyone not to be a single-issue voter. But let's take this issue by issue and actually take apart what he just said. Do you think, as a conservative, that the government should be in charge of your healthcare? That's been the biggest screeching point about Obamacare. So now the only thing that Donald Trump really wants to do is take Obamacare, slap a new label on it called Trumpcare, and make it even more government controlled. What about that is conservative? What about that is conservative? If you're like me and you wind up engaging people that are Trump supporters all day long and all you hear is how great everything's going to be, how big the wall's going to be, it's going to be huge, it's going to be wonderful, I want you to start taking these things item by item and I want you to ask them these questions. Because how is someone who is supposed to be a conservative and tells everybody that he's a conservative, how is it that he is for universal health care? And he just said so in his own words. And if you engage folks a lot on social media, all you've got to do is go to YouTube, search Trump Healthcare 60 Minutes. The whole thing pulls right up. You can let them play it over. You can make them listen to it over and over and over again if that's what it takes. But on that one item, because remember, one of the things we always talk about is the more the government has control of something, the less you have control of it. So if the government actually manages to get control of healthcare and they decide they're the ones that are going to be paying for healthcare, that means they basically have de facto control over your life from the day that you're born until the day that you die. That is not what this country was founded on. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, not life, liberty, and free medication. Next point.
Would raise approximately $5.7 trillion. In many cases, I probably identify more as a Democrat. I hate the concept of guns. I'm not in favor of it.
Why are you joining the...
Okay, so let's actually stop right there because that was about 3 different points. In that first point, you'll notice that he was advocating a tax hike that would raise about $5.6 trillion by the time it was done. He also mentions that he is opposed to the Second Amendment and says so in his own words. And yet this is the guy that is running as a conservative. Now let's listen to what he says about the Republican Party, and this was only, about 15, 20 years ago?
Reform Party.
I really believe the Republicans are just too crazy right. I mean, hey, I lived in New York City and Manhattan all my life, okay? So, my views are a little bit different than if I lived in Iowa, perhaps.
Partial birth abortion. Would President Trump ban partial birth abortion?
Well, look, I'm very pro-choice.
But you would not ban it?
No.
Okay, so he's very pro-choice. But let's back up a second because that's not the first point that we made there. What was the first thing that he talked about there? Anybody else remember? Anybody? Bueller? Pretty simple. He said the Republicans were nuts. This is the guy that's now running as a Republican, but just a few short years ago was telling everybody that he was joining the Reform Party because the Republicans were nuts. And then he was asked about partial birth abortion in a segment a few years later when he pointed out to everyone's chagrin now, because he's supposed to be a conservative, that he's very pro-choice. This is the same guy, mind you, who just got backed into a very dark corner not even 2 weeks ago, when he started talking about how if abortion was illegal, that the women that have abortion should be punished. Look, I'm probably about to say something that is not going to make the really, really conservative among our listenership audience very happy. But let me tell you the one thing that I don't want to see happen, and then I will tell you why. I don't want to see women having to go back to have abortions in dark corners in alleyways with rusty coat hangers, because it's not safe for them. Look, all of us that are legitimately and rationally looking at this realize that the genie is never going to be able to be put back in the bottle. Roe v. Wade will never be outlawed. If it is, then it's only going to make things worse, because we'll be back to women dying in the streets because they don't know what else to do. Now, that means that we have to take a practical approach to a few things here. The one thing that a lot of us that are conservative are saying is, look, we understand that abortion is going to have to happen in certain circumstances. What we're asking is that it goes back to the actual intent of the Roe v. Wade law, which was that abortion be safe, to avoid coat hangers and dark alleys, legal, again, to avoid coat hangers and dark alleys, and then rare. Not there's a Planned Parenthood clinic on every corner, and everybody's offering abortions, and all you got to do is walk in, and the 5th abortion gets a free Big Mac. I mean, look, that was hyperbole. I understand that. And I know you, as the listening audience, you understand that too. But in some ways, that's exactly how it feels. Abortion was never, by the actual intent of Roe v. Wade, intended to be used as birth control. It was intended to be used as a last-ditch effort to make sure that if the mother of the child felt they had absolutely no other alternative, that they could do what they felt they needed to do and do so without risking their own life. So why, as a conservative, would the very first thing that someone who's running for president say when it comes to a hypothetical question of abortion being outlawed, would the very first thing say, well, yeah, women should be punished if it's been outlawed? No. No. First of all, you never back yourself into that corner, because you know what's going to happen? If he makes it to the general election now, the media is going to take out the part where he says, and use only the part where he says abortion or women should be punished if they have an abortion. They're going to get rid of all of that if it's outlawed, or the hemming and hawing that he did, and they're going to make it one little snippet that says women should be outlawed women should be punished if they have an abortion. And they're going to play that over and over and over again because he allowed himself to be backed into a corner. And I know what you're saying. You're going to say, Rick, but he's not a politician. We've had that talk. He is so a politician. He's bought and sold politicians most of his adult life. He's been trying to find a way to run for president for most of his adult life. This is one of the things that drives me crazy about folks like Sean Hannity over and over and over again saying that he is not part of the establishment, that he is an outsider. The only true outsider left in this race is Cruz. Cruz is a one-term senator and is the only person in a very long time that we sent to D.C. that said, send me there and I will do X, Y, and Z. And he actually did X, Y, and Z. And yet he's the one that everybody's now lambasting, and most everybody is calling him some sort of Republican establishment freaking trophy. And it drives me insane to watch this. But what drives me even more insane is to hear the things that this man, the Republican frontrunner for the President of the United States in the primary for 2016 is telling you that he is not conservative, and nobody's listening to him because they like the things that he's saying that makes them angry. Because he wants a wall. And he wants to make America great again. I have news for you. Any of you that think America needs to be made great again, what freaking country are you living in? America is still the greatest country on the planet. Yes, she has plenty of things that are wrong with her, plenty of things that if we all got to it and we rolled up our sleeves and we actually got back to work, there are things that we could fix. But we can't do that because we're too busy sitting back waiting for all of these namby-pamby milquetoast politicians to fix everything for us. And I am so sick and tired of the arguing and the hemming and hawing, especially when we have someone who is not and has never been a conservative usurping the supposed conservative party. I have news for you folks, and I'm not sure if I have said this on this show yet, but I'm no longer a member of the Republican Party. In my state, up until this election cycle, there have been two parties that have been recognized. You can register as a Democrat, you can register as a Republican, or you can register an independent and then don't have the option to vote in any primaries because there really are no independent candidates to speak of here. The Libertarian Party has now been recognized in my state for this particular cycle. So as a form of protest, and because it's one of the only parties that I can still somewhat align myself with, even if I don't necessarily agree with the anarchist fringe movement of the Libertarian Party, I am now officially registered as a Libertarian within the state of Oklahoma. I have news for you, Republicans and GOP and Reince Priebus and whoever the heck else winds up running this thing after 2016, because God knows Reince should be looking for a new job. I'm not coming back. I don't care what happens. I don't care if I can't vote in any more primaries. You will not ever see another dime from me. You will not ever see me support you in any way, shape, or form. And it will now be my job to basically ridicule you in every way possible because you have failed this country miserably. By allowing someone like Donald Trump to stand up and usurp conservatism, you have failed this nation. You have failed America. You have failed yourselves, and I don't even know how you can stand to look at yourselves in the mirror. Honestly, how I feel. Now, we've got a little bit more ground to cover before we take the break, so we need to, I guess, stop letting me rant and actually get back to playing some clips.
Ban partial birth abortion.
No, I am pro-choice in every respect.
This is an un-Republican thing for me to say.
Who do you think would be the best qualified to make a deal with Iran?
Hillary's always surrounded herself with very good people. I think Hillary would do a good job.
Make a deal with Iran.
Well, I think Hillary would do a good job.
Nancy Pelosi, the speaker.
And I'm very impressed by her. I think she's a very impressive person. I like her a lot. She was going to really look to impeach Bush and get him out of office, which personally I think would have been a wonderful thing.
Impeaching him?
I think would have been a wonderful thing.
First of all, I thought he did a great job tonight. I thought he was strong and smart, and it looks like we have somebody that knows what he's doing. And it's a strong guy who really knows what he wants, and this is what we need.
Hillary's a great friend of mine. Her husband is a great friend of mine. But I think Hillary is going to take it, and I think Hillary is very, very capable. I'm very pro-choice. Liberal in health care.
Universal health coverage.
I like universal.
As far as single payer, it works in Canada. It works incredibly well in Scotland.
It just seems that the economy does better under the Democrats than the Republicans.
Donald Trump and I both agree that there ought to be more taxation.
What do you think of eminent domain?
I think it's a wonderful thing. I'll be honest with you.
For people that have been here for years, that have, been hard workers, have good jobs, are supporting a family, it's very, very tough to just say, you have to leave, get out. How do you throw somebody out that's lived in this country for 20 years? You just can't throw everybody out.
He was basically a Democrat. And he was supportive of Democrats. He was supportive of a lot of the causes that, I cared about and that people I knew cared about.
Okay, I was going to stop it, but I realized it was almost done. So I want to back up just before you heard Hillary talking good about Trump. Yeah, let that part sink in for just a second. Hillary, in this clip, was talking good about Trump. Right before that, you heard him say something that was diametrically opposed to everything that he has ever said to you during this election cycle about immigration. We need a wall. We need to send them home. We need to make America great again. We need to make the wall bigger because these people are pissing me off. Meh. I mean, look, I don't know what to say other than the fact that you just heard a 2-minute and 30-second montage of everything the man has said within recent history that makes it very, very clear that he is not a conservative. And yet, he's still the front runner. I don't understand what's happening in this country. I really do not understand. All right, folks, so we've got more to talk about when we get back, but at this point, it is about time for us to go ahead and take a break, so bear with me for just a moment while we get that squared away. All right, folks, this is America Off the Rails. I'm Rick Robinson. You are listening to us on WNJC 1360 AM out of Philadelphia, the powerhouse of Philadelphia, actually. Doesn't really work when I say it that way twice, huh? All right, so anyway, we'll be right back after these commercial messages. Still lots of show left. Don't go away. All right, folks, this is Rick Robinson with you. I want to tell you about some friends of mine from a company called Security Enforcement Specialists. When I ran my security agency for 12 years, I worked with one of these partners on a daily basis. He's been involved in this agency now, and with his other partner, they do have over 30 years of experience in the private security industry. If you own a business, and you need someone to keep you or your customers or residents safe, then I highly recommend contacting Security Enforcement Specialists today. Give them a call at 405-703-1796. Again, that's 405-703-1796. Again, tell them Rick from K98 Talk sent you. Like I said, if you need the help, they are here for you. So make sure that you go look them up, check them out, and see what they can do.
The wrong way. Welcome to the place.
We will never fully understand what we've asked of our military service members or their families, asking them to put themselves in harm's way, to endure it all. But we do understand that it's our turn, our duty, to keep them secure for the rest of their lives. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs help our most severely ill or injured veterans live independently, at no cost, for life, so that they might stand at ease. Join us at findwwp.org.
If you want to work until you keel over, have less of everything in retirement, or give back more of your hard-earned money to the stock market again, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to protect the money you save, receive a steady, predictable retirement income, and enjoy financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. You can download a free report that reveals the wealth-building secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. You'll learn how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and real prosperity without risking your money in the Wall Street casino, and how to get the money you need when you need it, simply by asking for it. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement, and know your money will last as long as you do. To learn more about this method, and to get your free report, go to 29security.com. That's the number 29security.com. 29security.com. Go to 29security.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry, or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Calls, we got a pen and telephone to bypass all your laws. Political correctness will replace the Bill of Rights. Support religious freedom, lest you pray to Jesus Christ. The press is in our pockets cause it's no longer free. You cannot make a move now that the NSA can see. Don't expect equality, respect or fair play. The IRS will target those who vote the wrong way. Welcome to the place. Welcome to the place.
All right, folks, this is America Off the Rails. I'm your host, Rick Robinson. Welcome back to the WNJC 1360 AM Philadelphia edition of the show. Now, as promised, I do have some other audio that I wanted to play, and this is a bit of a montage again, but this is actually one Mr. Sean Hannity sounding an awful lot like a liberal whiner.
Leapfrog over the two top vote getters, the two top state winners, the two top delegate winners. Don't you think that those people that caucused and voted for those two top guys, if they don't get it, that they're going to walk away and never come back? Nominee of your party, are you confident tonight that it will be either Donald Trump or Ted Cruz?
I think one of the three people running is going to be
our nominee. And how does John Kasich get there without leapfrogging over people that have millions of more votes and hundreds of more delegates?
You're going to have to ask John Kasich, but I'm not going to do something that's going to be an affront right now to John Kasich. Wow. He's a good governor of Ohio, and he's running, and it's up to him. So I'm not going to I believe it's going to be one of the three.
All right, that was Reince Priebus, because D.C. obviously knows a lot about these rules.
I've heard Senator Cruz say that John Kasich has no mathematical path to the nomination and he should get out. He wanted a one-on-one race with Donald Trump. And I agree. I think there's only two people mathematically that have a chance. If Trump wins New York and gets enough delegates that Cruz would be mathematically impossible for him to get to 1237. By his own definition, should he get out?
I think it's about being Trump, Rule 40.
If Donald Trump, say, ends up with 1207, 30 short of the magic number, as they call it, you still say, those are the rules. It's got to be a contested convention. Now, 1207, 30 short of the magic number, as they call it, you still say, those are the rules. It's got to be a contested convention. Now, let's say that happens. And you're saying that that's what the rules say, right?
Yes.
All right, so he's 30 short, and let's say, I'm making these numbers up based on proportionality, and let's say Cruz is 300 short. All right, so you have one candidate, and I can reverse it. I could say Ted Cruz is 1230 and Trump is 300 short, whatever it happens to be. So you're saying that the person with 300 short, let's say that person ends up leaving the convention with the nomination. What do you think, how do you think that the people that voted for the guy that had more delegates, more votes, and I would assume at that point more states, how do you think those voters are going to feel if their guy was only 30 short and another guy was 300 short?
How do I think they're going to feel? First of all, Sean, you sound an awful lot like the Democrats in 2000. Second of all, Sean, you sound like someone who doesn't understand how these rules work. We are a republic. We are not a democracy. We do not have direct elections. What we have are delegates that can follow the will of the people based on if they're bound by their state, or even go off and vote however they choose if they're unbound. This is an important distinction, and this is one that people that have been griping about this policy do not seem to understand. Yes, the one thing that the GOP should not do is change the rules in the middle. As it stands right now, unless Kasich sprouts wings and somehow manages to kick butt in the next few cycles, there's no way that he's going to get to the 8-state mandate that he needs to even be a part of the contested convention. So why it is that he's deciding to stay in the race, I will never understand. Other than the fact at this point, I think he's deciding that he's going to be a spoiler for whoever he thinks is going to wind up being the nominee, and then he's hoping to get handed Postmaster General because, his dad, the mailman, would love it that his son made Postmaster General when we obviously can see at this point that he's not going to make President of the United States. And look, I know who John Kasich is. I know the things that he's done up until now. And until recently, he was somebody that I respected. Until I saw some of the things that he did when he was governor of Ohio. And the things that he's doing now. Because he has no clear path to the nomination. Unless he's expecting someone to change the rules, there's no possible way that he's going to be able to get the nomination. And yet he's staying in anyway. He's won one state. There are barely enough primaries left for him to try to even win 7 more. And he's going to have to win most of them to get there. And he's only won 1. I mean, at least Cruz and Trump have a fighting chance with each other. And I mean, yes, I understand that Trump has more delegates than Cruz. But one of the things that drives me crazy is over the last couple of weeks, we keep hearing folks in the Trump camp talking about how the Cruz folks are trying to steal delegates and they're doing this and they're doing that. And then you had all the folks last night on Twitter that, oh my God, I was part of the Wisconsin front team for Trump, and I'm telling you that there was shenanigans on the ground, I tell you, because at this point I'm ready to contact an attorney on my own and figure out how I can help the Trump campaign sue the Cruz campaign, because there's no way that he won by that big of a margin. Okay, so for those of you who weren't paying attention, Donald Trump got trounced in Wisconsin, which is happening more and more. Now, do I think that Cruz has a snowball's chance in New York? Probably not. The New York values comment didn't help him. Not that it wasn't a true statement, because let's face it, it is basically a true statement. But it doesn't help the fact that he managed to basically alienate one of the largest states left on the map. So I don't know what he's going to be able to do or how he's going to be able to do it. But if we get to a contested convention and it winds up being legitimately between Trump and Cruz, I want that process to play itself out without the shenanigans that everybody's talking about that they are afraid it is going to happen. Look, I cannot and I will not vote for Donald Trump in the primary, but that doesn't mean that I don't want the process to work. Because at this point, I firmly believe that this nation, each time we go through an election cycle, we elect the president that we deserve. Now, I want you to go back and look at history and then realize what a bad thing that actually is. Because I do believe the process works, and I do believe that when we elect someone, we are electing the person that we deserve to have at that very moment, based on either our complete and total understanding and involvement in the process, or a complete lack of interest and apathy in the process. And in this instance, we are going in the opposite direction. We have less and less people interested in the political process every day. Apparently, we have less and less people that understand the political process every day. Some of them make millions of dollars a year to talk about the political process every day, and apparently they don't understand that we are in a representative democracy, otherwise known as a republic, not democratic rule. The things that Sean Hannity just said at the end of that clip, in that context, sound almost exactly like the people that were ticked off at the end of the 2000 election cycle when they realized that Al Gore had theoretically won the popular vote and still managed to lose the election because we do not and never have gone off of the popular vote, but the Electoral College vote. Exactly what we're talking about here. We're not talking about the number of people that voted for Trump or the number of people that voted for Cruz. We're talking about how many delegates do they have, and did they get enough to get there to make it an uncontested convention, because the rules are crystal clear. You have to have a majority. I'm so tired of hearing about all of these political pundits and speakeasy morons that want to say, I don't care if they get the majority, as long as they have the most delegates. As far as I'm concerned, they should get the nomination. Well, guess what? Skippy, you aren't the one that wrote the rules. The rules are there for a reason. We are the same party that anytime the Democrats bend a rule or break a rule, we're holding them to the line and we're saying, no, that's not how this is supposed to work. We are a nation of rules and laws. And yet, when it's our time to show that we actually adhere to those principles and that we should be putting forward someone with conservative values, conservative ideals, instead, we are putting forth Donald Trump. Donald freaking Trump. Do you know how tired I am of saying the name Donald Trump, much less hearing about him every time I turn on the radio? Do you know how much I would rather talk about anything at this point other than Donald Trump? But I can't not do this, because there are too many people that are not paying attention to who this man truly is. And I don't care what Sean Hannity says, he is not an insurgent candidate. He's a Trojan horse candidate, and he has been from day one. Which is the same thing anytime Sean Hannity starts popping up on social media about talking about the Republican Party's circular firing squad they have going on right now. I keep telling him there's no way it can be a circular firing squad when we're all aiming at the same target and he happens to be a Trojan horse. Just pointing out the obvious. That is not a circular firing squad. That is a firing squad. And we're trying to make you idiots understand that I don't care how much you like what he says, he's not going to do a damn thing that he says he's going to do anyway. Because you know what he's going to do? He's going to do whatever he told New York Times behind closed doors. That's what he's going to do, because that's who he is. When that came out and he didn't say, fine, release the tape. No, I don't really want them to release the tape. I don't think they should have to release the tape. But since they made sure that you knew that tape existed, now I don't have a choice. Because as a man of my word, I have to make you understand that what they're saying I said is not what I said. So, yes, New York Times, please release the tape. He did not do that. And he didn't do that because there's probably even more crap just like what I played on that tape. And he knows it. But that's the problem when it comes to folks like Donald Trump. He is a salesman. He has been selling you a bill of goods for years, and you have bought it. He has built up his brand. He has built up his popularity by getting involved in pageants, by doing reality TV shows. He's made sure that he has the most name recognition possible in this election cycle other than Hillary Clinton. Now, I want you to understand two things. One, yes, he and Hillary Clinton, they both have name recognition. But I want you to look at the other thing that makes this very, very important. Look at their negative favorabilities. I'm not saying in the individual state polls. Look at the national level negative favorabilities. Trump is less likable than Hillary. Hillary is an alleged murderer multiple times over. And yet Trump is less likable than her. Now, do we know what Trump has done throughout the years? Nope. But I guarantee you the media does. And I guarantee you they're not going to have any problem letting us know. And that's the other thing that we really need to think about. You've seen the polls over and over and over again. And I understand all of you Trump folks out there like, the polls have been wrong before. There's no way he's going to lose to Hillary. There's no way he can't lose to Hillary. I mean, come on, look at what she did as Secretary of State, Rick. How the heck is Mr. Trump going to lose to that there Hillary when everybody knows that he's the best man for the job, Rick? Everybody knows it. Why can't you just get on board with how great this Mr. Donald Trump is, Rick? Why can't you just step in line and be a good little boy and start towing the line for Donald Trump? You know how many times I hear that on a daily basis? You know how many times I'm threatened on a daily basis? Do you know how many fellow supposed conservative talk show hosts have basically put posts out that have talked about the fact that any of us that would not fall in line with Donald Trump are basically going to be blacklisted during his administration, and they're going to find a way to make sure that we don't have jobs? If that's the country that we have to look forward to, I'm glad I'm not supporting Trump. I will probably be on an island somewhere, running my shows from an undisclosed location and still sending them into U.S. markets because I'll still have contracts. Just saying. But look, folks, it really is a pretty simple concept at this point. We have to decide what we want this country to be. Because I've told you for a very long time, Donald Trump is not a conservative. If you want to put some sort of a label on him, the closest type of label that you could possibly come up with is going to be a term that doesn't currently exist, but it will in the near future. Most likely, if we continue in the direction that we're going. Because the most apt label for Donald Trump is a corporocrat. He's an amalgamation of the corporate system and the government system. He's what we've been warning you guys about for decades. Me, not so much, about the last 5 years. But he's exactly what I've been warning you about for the entirety of the time that I've had the show. Yes, I think that a businessman with good business acumen and a good moral compass would be a really good leader for this nation, which is why I supported Romney in the last election cycle. But what I do not think is possible, and I do not think is a good idea, is to have someone in the White House, and I know I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again, who has the exact same narcissistic tendencies as one Barack Hussein Obama, but actually understands and has the ability to wield the power that comes with the White House. What we got lucky with Obama, folks, was for the first 5 or 6 years, he wasn't exactly sure how to make things work. he didn't really know what it meant to be president and what it was that he needed to do, which is why he was off jet-setting all the time and going from one party to the next and enjoying the popularity because the nerdy kid in the room was now all of a sudden the guy that got invited to all the parties. Come on, you've seen his high school pictures. I've seen his high school pictures. The dude was a nerd, and now all of a sudden he's the life of the party. I wonder why that is. And why is it that was always more important to him than running the country? Because he didn't know what the hell he was supposed to do. Which is what we've been telling all of you for 8 years. And now you're about to do the exact same thing on the exact opposite of the spectrum. Because Donald Trump doesn't really know what it takes to be president either, but he does understand how to use power. And he understands how to use it very inappropriately. Please pay attention to the things that he posts on Twitter. Please pay attention to the threats that he makes when he realizes that people are not supporting him. Please pay attention to the libelous things and slanderous things that his team puts up all over every single source of social media. All you got to do is go look. These are not nice people. They are not what this country needs. And if we don't figure this out now, soon it's going to be very, very, very too late. And I'm not even saying that to try to dissuade you at this point. I'm just trying to make you understand why it is that I am firmly in the Never Trump camp. And it's why I started the Make America Sane Again movement, because I thought it was a quick, tongue-in-cheek way to make you guys understand just how crazy a lot of you sound that are Trump supporters. I'm not saying all of you, so please, all of you that are able to have rational discussions with me about why it is that Trump is your guy, I don't want you to think that I'm picking on you. The handful of hosts that we have on this station, or on my home station on K98 Talk, and honestly, we may even have some on WNJC. I honestly don't know. I've been so busy lately, I haven't really had much time to listen to anybody else's talk radio. I've been too busy building my own. But look, I'm a free speech guy. If you're for Trump and you can articulate for me why you're for Trump without calling me names or calling me stupid for not being for Trump, then I'm willing to sit down and have a conversation with you. As long as you're willing to let me also tell you why I'm not for Trump, because that is what becomes the problem. Nobody can disagree with anyone anymore without it turning into some sort of a fight. And as this show winds down, what I'm going to probably start doing is the same thing that I did, I think it was either on this show or on the Red State show on last Sunday. At the end of the day, folks, we have to remember one thing. Whether you are a Trump supporter, a Cruz supporter, a Kasich supporter, and as much as it's going to make some people have a bad taste in their mouth, a Hillary supporter or a Bernie Sanders supporter, at the end of the day, we are all still Americans. At the end of the day, we have to find a way to come together, work together, and make this country a better place. And we do not always agree on how that is supposed to happen. But what we do agree on is that it needs to happen. Some of you think it needs to happen with more government involvement. A lot of us think it needs to happen with less. The simple fact of the matter is, if we could just find some commonality, we could actually find ways to make things work again. This is what has me so upset with the polarization that has been brought about by the last two administrations. And especially now on steroids with the current administration. And if we allow someone like Trump the keys to the kingdom, the polarization is going to continue. We have to realize at some point that it's time to put the country first, not our feelings first. This isn't about emotion. This is about putting everything else aside and deciding who it is that can best lead this country. And if you can look at everything that he has said and done, and you honestly feel that Donald Trump is the person to do that, then by all means, when you have your opportunity, if you have not yet in the primary, please vote for him. And when he makes it to the general election, then please vote for him. I'm not telling you who to vote for. What I'm telling you to do is to stop and think, to rationally look at the things that he says and look at the things that he does, and then you need to decide if you can support someone who does those things. Because if you can support someone who does those things, And you have to rationalize it by saying he's the lesser of two evils, or you have to rationalize it by saying sometimes good men do bad things for the right reasons. Then you need to look at yourself, not your candidate, as to what is causing you to make the choices that you're making. And at that point, folks, it is about time for us to actually make our way out of here for the day. I have actually went on a bit of a tear for a little bit longer than I expected to. So as usual, folks, I do want to remind you that it is time to put down the remote, time to get off the couch, time to find a way to get involved. And I will actually, give me just one moment, because I thought I had something ready to go, and it's not working. Ready? There we go. All right. Sorry about that. Computer was acting up. Good news is, for those of you listening live right now, this will wind up on the cutting room floor. But you get the joys of listening to live radio, when occasionally things don't go the way you intend them to go. All right, folks, until I see you again, this is Rick Robinson signing off. Have a great afternoon, Philadelphia. I'll be back with you live next week. And don't forget, Monday through Friday, 10 Central, on my home station, K98 Talk. And hopefully coming soon in Dallas. Cross your fingers. Have a great day, folks. God bless.
Everything you earn by breaking your backs, we're gonna redistribute when we make our big tax. Hey, sit down. Don't.
Screw you guys. I'm going home. Later.
Game over, man. It's game over.
If you want to work until you keel over, have less of everything in retirement, or give back more of your hard-earned money to the stock market again, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to protect the money you save, receive a steady, predictable retirement income, and enjoy financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. You can download a free report that reveals the wealth-building secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. You'll learn how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and real prosperity without risking your money in the Wall Street casino, and how to get the money you need when you need it, simply by asking for it. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement, and know your money will last as long as you do. To learn more about this method and to get your free report, go to 29security.com. That's the number 29security.com. 29security.com. Go to 29security.com.
Folks, you are listening to America Off the Rails, now a proud member of the Conservative Commando Radio Network, right here on WNJC 1360 AM, the powerhouse of Philadelphia. Now, I have a question for you. Do you ever find yourself maybe not near a radio? Maybe you're traveling and you don't have access to the internet? Did you know that the Conservatives Commando Radio Network can now be heard on a telephone network by calling 832-999-1199 anytime, day or night? That's right. You can hear every show as it's broadcast live, even if you're not near the radio or an internet, because, everybody nowadays has a phone in their hand. But here's the good news, though. As soon as we go off the air at night on the Conservative Commando Radio Network right here on WNJC, you can listen to every show that aired for that day as many times as you want just by dialing that number. It'll be a live feature every day at 12 p.m. daily, and it'll be exclusively for the shows that run on that network. But until the next day when it goes live again, they're going to run them over and over and over again. So now you have on-demand access to the Conservative Commando Radio Network right on your phone. How cool is that? Just remember, the Conservative Commando Radio Network, where now even more newsmakers go to be heard.